Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of the PowettPlay Podcast. I'm Jordan Shannon. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Karen Powell. How are you, Kai?
I'm fine, Jordan. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much. England couldn't, back up the first test performance, so a little bit disappointed with that. But can't take anything away from India because that performance in the second test was phenomenal, and Jaiswal and Bumrah in particular both showed the class and put India in fantastic situations to win the game.
Yeah, I think it was two sort of individual performances that sort of set up that game for India, isn't it? I guess sort of chuck Shubman Gill into that equation as well. India winning by 106, and he sort of scored 104? So sort of giving them that buffer. For a second innings target that would sort of just pushed it out of England's reach. But I think it's interesting that England are even getting to these types of fourth innings scores, especially in India. You look at it, Ravi Chandran Ashwin hasn't really had much impact on the series.
No.
He's sort of been nullified, which is something that, you wouldn't have expected going into the series. But Jasprit Bumrah showed that, doesn't matter what the surface is. Once he gets it right, I think obviously for me, him, Pat Cummins, and Kagiso Rabada, I'd love to see three of them playing in a World 11 against some other team, because that would be just literally the hardest work for any opposition batting. But yeah, he was phenomenal. Obviously, Jaiswal getting his second Test century, his first century at home, and what a way to go! Getting a double century. And I'm going really big, and obviously Shubman Gill being under a bit of pressure there and second innings and getting an important score, not only for him but for India, and as I said, giving them that buffer that sort of worked out to be, I guess, the sort of safe net that they had towards the end of the game. So it was a really interesting game, and the series only gets more interesting now with obviously the likes of Virat potentially coming back in for the next match, and he's going to want to have obviously his say on this series, as will 100%. Rohit Sharma, who want to get some big scores as well. So I can see India sort of ramping up the pressure from here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the way that the third test is set up perfectly now. I think that going back to the second test, I think the way that Jaiswal batted was superb. I think that, like I said, he set up that innings and set up the first innings for India perfectly. And I think that the way that England just never seemed to get going. I think you look at the scorecard, and there were partnerships, 40 here, 50 here, 60, and they just never seemed to be anything. And I think you put that down to somebody like Bumrah. Every time they sort of slowly England got going again, he produced that delivery. Or in the situation with Zach Crawley in the first innings, there was a superb catch. Going over it. Oh, I can't remember who it was who took the catch. I think it was Zach Patel who got the wicket, but someone took a catch going over the left shoulder. And they always seem to have that edge constantly in that test match. And I think that, we talked so much before about obviously the conditions in India and this and that, but the way that Bumrah bowled, and also I'm going to speak about James Anderson here because he didn't play in the first test match, but he went to show, and he showed how important it is in terms of being able to look after an end. And he went I think he bowled 25 overs, so less than 2 and over in the first innings, and he bowled something similar at less than 2, I think it was like 2.8 in the second innings. And it goes to show that no matter what conditions or what the wicket's like, if you bowl line and length and you hit your areas consistently, you're going to cause problems no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, I think to touch on that James Anderson point, I'd like to see England going with 2 seamers in the next match, because you look at it, for example, someone like Rehan Ahmed, who's not really doing much bowling. If you can get another seamer in there, and then you have obviously Jimmy that can keep an end, and you have, let's say, Markwood that can come and work in sharp bursts. You can really afford to be a lot more aggressive, knowing that he's got a Jimmy to hold up, and then you've got the other spinner. You still got 3 spin options in the team outside anyway. So I guess that would give them, in my eyes, a more balanced attack. If obviously someone like the skipper in Stokes was fit to bowl, then they'd be perfect with this combination right now in terms of the amount of spinners. But I think obviously because he's down and he's not going to be bowling at all in this series, I'd just like to see them have another seamer, because I do think that there is a lot in it for the seamers in this series as well, as we've seen with Bumrah once he's gotten it right. And I mean, you think of, from the Indian standpoint, imagine if they had a Siraj and a Shami fit as well. I mean, exactly. those guys would definitely have a part to play in this series. So,
do you think, going on that point there, do you think they would have picked all three, or do you think they still would have gone with two?
Well, I think it depends on the conditions. I think they'd have definitely gone with at a very least two. But I think it depends on the conditions. They may have just rotated the three of them, so you have two of them playing. One's always rested, so someone's always fresh.
It work.
If they decided to go on a green seamer, then they'd go with all three of them. And still have the spinning options as well. Obviously, with Jadeja down, Akshar Patel is like the greatest replacement you can have, especially in India, where he's average. I don't even know if he averages 10 in India with the ball, and he gets valuable runs as well. So I think India are pretty much unfazed in the bowling department of things. England probably surprised them with the intent. Obviously, lots of teams that play against England now, and the new intent sort of catches teams off guard sort of the first time around. So, I mean, India had their own experience with it, but they've bounced back now. And I think, obviously, as I said, the likes of Kohli coming back in, and he's going to be hungry. He's going to want to have his stamp on the series. So it's going to be an interesting 3-match series now, because leveled at 1-1, it's down to a 3-match series. So.
Well, there's a 10-day break now from the end of the Test match to the next one, and England have gone to Abu Dhabi for a break. And I'm pretty sure as well that I read that Dan Lawrence, who got picked, obviously as a replacement for, I can't remember. Oh, when Harry Brook went home for personal reasons, they brought in Dan Lawrence. I'm sure Dan Lawrence is now playing in the ILT20 as well for the 10-day break that they've got.
Well, I'm not sure, but I think I read something that this break in Abu Dhabi is a no cricket break as well.
No cricket's just gone, I believe.
I mean, you'd think that they had enough time in Abu Dhabi before the series, but I mean,
sometimes
I guess they'd figure it's got the series leveled at 1-1, and they want to go and refresh again. So I mean, kudos to them. It's whatever works for them. So
I just think sometimes, like, again, this is just my personal opinion, is don't make it public. So if you're going to Abu Dhabi, fine, but then don't make it a non-cricket thing. Like, you don't have to say that. People can, you can be perceived to be practicing and just spending time with the family or whatever it may be. I just think it looks bad, because you leave yourself open there if England get rolled or turned over comfortably in the third test. It's like, England had the momentum for the first test, and the second test it was competitive, but then all of a sudden the third test comes and it's a non-contest. Like, I just feel England sometimes, and the way that they are with the press and how they come out from a PR perspective, like, you just leave ourselves open sometimes for for whatever it may be. But I don't know. It's just the way I do.
This whole, I don't know if to call it a regime or baseball, whatever they call it.
Whatever,
it's almost coming across like an ancient emperor type thing, where no matter what we do, you can't say anything but positive about us. Or it's heads off. So I mean, I guess they figured they're having a lot more success than they were having before it all started. I think they were 1-17 before all this started. So, I mean, the record is a lot better at the moment.
I get that.
They are pushing the extremes. It is a bit much for a lot of people, but I guess they're getting the results. So
and I'm sure we'll see what happens and what unfolds over the next 3 test matches. I just hope that England do maintain that level of commitment they're going towards at the minute. Because I do think we've seen some real good, promising parts of. I think like we spoke about Tom Hart. We talk about Bashir bowled super. I thought he bowled really well in his first test. So hopefully England can come back from Abu Dhabi and golfing, and and see if they can turn something special in Test 3, 4, and 5. But that leads me on to the point of and then obviously another series which is taking place, which is New Zealand and South Africa, and one man which is, he's just superb. I just love watching him bat. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And Kane Williamson again with same 2 centuries in the same Test match. He's just phenomenal, great player.
Yeah, not that I know anything about scoring 2 centuries in the same Test match or anything, but no, Kane Williamson is just absolute joy to watch when you think of it. Like, and to think that he's had so many injuries of late, but yet still, if you check the stats, he's actually scored 6 centuries in his last 6 Test matches.
Yeah,
now up to 31 Test centuries. Only one active player in front of him now, which is Steve Smith.
Steve Smith, yeah.
And he's tied Steve Smith in terms of the amount of innings it took to get to 31 Test centuries. All of this as well before he's even played 100 Test matches. He's not got 100 Test matches yet. He's got 31 Test matches.
No.
So the numbers he's racking up it's crazy. Like, I know Steve Smith sort of touched God's hand for a minute there. And it's the closest thing we've seen to Don Bradman. But Kane Williamson is sort of not far away from touching God's hand as well. Like, his numbers absolutely phenomenal. I think he's averaging something like 54 or 55 now in Test cricket. And this, as I said, is over a period of 97 Test matches. This isn't over a short period of time. So it's absolutely amazing to see what he continues to do throughout all formats. You'd not think of him as, I guess, the type of player that I guess suits one day or T20 cricket, but he sort of has that Mahela Jayawardene effect where he can still play proper cricket in strokes and score
no matter what format,
at a high tempo without, I guess, swiping or looking ungainly. So one of the greats of cricket for sure. We're definitely lucky to be living in this era where we get to see Kane Williamson, Steve Smith, Virat Kohli, and Joe Root, putting up these types of massive numbers. And hopefully they can all continue to go for a very long time. Obviously, they're getting a bit older now, but the game is in such a great position right now. And you think about the Test matches that we've experienced sort of over the past, let's say from the Ashes last summer coming up until now, Test cricket is in a really, really good position. It's great to watch. It's great to see the performances happening every series now. Bat versus ball is at an all-time high. I think that there's lots of skill on display. I'm loving the fact that they're leaving a lot more on pitches generally around the world for seamers as well. So they're having an opportunity, especially in the first innings, to, I guess, get their say in proceedings as well. So now Test cricket and those names that I mentioned are absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And like you were saying there, I think you've touched on it so many times in our chats that we've had about, this red ball and white ball, and, whether you're a good cricketer, you're a good cricketer no matter what format. And I think Kane Williamson, summarises that point perfectly, really. No matter what format, he always seems to find a way to score runs. And I also seem to think, in my opinion as well, he just seems to get on with it. He's never really like in front of the, doing anything or coming out with anything controversial, or he just turns up, plays, scores runs, goes home. It's just such a consummate professional is the probably term I would use for him. Is he just, the way he goes about his cricket, like I said, he's picked up injuries, but, does what he needs to do, comes back, and then, it's only a matter of time before he gets his next score. And, the form is in at the minute, and the situation obviously with the I'm not taking anything away from his 200s, but with the South Africa team that's over there, he could easily go and do that again in the next Test.
obviously don't take for granted any opposition, but as you said, like, he is going to be looking to cash in here as much as possible.
Big time, yeah.
And again, you look at, as I just previously mentioned, his injury record. He doesn't know when he will next go down.
Yeah.
I mean, so that again is added incentive for him to cash in every single time that he gets an opportunity right now, because you don't know how long an injury will be. You don't know if you'll ever come back from an injury.
No.
And unfortunately for him, his injury record has not been great of late. So, we're absolutely blessed. I think New Zealand, definitely their best player that they've ever produced, in an era that has probably produced lots of their greatest players across formats. When you look at, he's played with the likes of Ross Taylor, Brendan McCullum's, Tim Southee's, Trent Bolts, etc. But he definitely stands head and shoulders amongst the group, what he's been able to do across formats. And as I said, world cricket on a whole is just blessed to have someone like Kane Williamson that doesn't get into any trouble. The only time you see or hear from him is on a cricket field doing something great, and then he just disappears off and lives a normal civilian life.
That's it. No, that's exactly it. And it's like, credit to him and a credit to the way he keeps churning them out and does it. It's it's a real credit to him, really. So I wanted to ask you as well about the Under-19 World Cup. Obviously, that's now close to coming to its end. Have you managed to watch much of it or see much of it?
Yeah, I have. I've watched, especially in the earlier stages, lots of it. Unfortunately, I haven't watched, I guess, too much of it of recent time, but I did watch that semi-final with India, South Africa, which I think was an absolutely amazing match.
Okay,
South Africa ebbed and flowed, thought they had it, ended up losing in the end to India there, who are now in their 5th consecutive Under-19 World Cup final.
Phenomenal.
As a global front, we need someone to break this streak. We need whoever gets into the final against them to beat them. But I mean, it just goes to show that obviously the level of investment in Indian cricket right through its ecosystem is absolutely amazing, and the talent that they're able to churn out year in year out at all age groups, all genders of cricket is just absolutely amazing. And what the IPL has done in terms of revolutionizing not just global cricket, but what it's done for Indian cricket, allowing them to be able to be competitive at all age levels in any condition. It's absolutely amazing. And you think of just a few months ago, they were at the Under-19 Asia Cup in Dubai, where they got knocked out quite early. And then the way that they're playing now in this competition goes to show that, it's see that you perform in a country of 1 point, how many billion now? Someone else gets an opportunity. So, but I guess another point of it, obviously I was a bit disappointed with how the West Indies weren't able to qualify, playing against Australia. And then rain sort of impeded that match. What the end result would have been. Team was playing really good cricket, so it's unfortunate for those young guys, because at that age group, it means the world to them. I'm not saying that it doesn't at, I guess, senior cricket, but obviously junior guys coming in and trying to make that first impression, to be able to get into a World Cup semi-final would have boosted them as well. But I think that they'd be happy the way that they performed, and they could leave the tournament with their heads held high. I know that they're back in the Caribbean already, so hopefully some of them get into their regional franchises for the upcoming 40 tournament and continue to play and perform, obviously in a different format, but just continue to get the opportunities to go out and showcase their skills and develop and hopefully move on to West Indies senior team in quick order.
No, I hope so, because I think that when we spoke about it a few weeks ago in terms of the platform it gives you, I just hope that the players from the tournament, and there's plenty of players who've scored runs and taken wickets and done really well, is that then utilise this opportunity that they've had and are playing this high standard of competition cricket to then use it as a motivation to push on and to continue, because ultimately that's what you want. Like you said, you mentioned there about some of the West Indies lads, you want them to then go back home, and force their way into the teams to then go and play in the championship, the West Indies 4-day championship that starts today. I know that I'm sure I read this, and you might be able to confirm it, that potentially is that I'm sure Jewel Andrew got home and then played for his school side and scored 100 for his school side on like Saturday. I'm sure it was something like that.
I read that. I don't know how true it is, so I can't necessarily comment on it too much further. But if he did, I wouldn't be surprised. That's the type of guy he is, that he wants to play every match available to him. Like when he got selected for the Leeward Islands one-day squad, we had to sort of stop him from going to play tape ball cricket. He was like, no, he's playing professional cricket next week. He's not going to have to play any tape ball cricket, So I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, if that did happen.
No. And obviously that leads us on to the West Indies 4-day championship, which starts today. What's your situation why you're not sort of playing?
Insolent, sacrosanct individuals within the organisation. West Indies cricket is just full of politics. I actually haven't been given a reason as to why I'm not playing. That's interesting. But I'm going to be heading out, I guess, over the weekend, and we'll see what happens for round 2. I have made myself available. I did tell them that there was a personal family matter that I was dealing with, but I did make myself available well in advance of selection for the first match, and then didn't really hear anything back. I've heard like little rumors, little shoo, whatever the case is, but no one's contacted me as to why I wasn't selected, which is obviously very disappointing, being probably the most senior player in the Leeward Islands franchise. But you take these things and you use them as motivation and a driving factor, a driving force. Obviously, at this stage and age of my career, so I'm looking to do maximum damage when selected. This has definitely sparked me, and I know exactly how I want to respond. So it's just, I guess, giving myself the best opportunity if and when my chance comes, and maximizing it, and then I'll celebrate a part of it.
Well, I wouldn't want to be a bowler on the end of your wrath of that side of things anyway. So I do fear for the bowlers in the domestic circuit of the West Indies cricket, put it that way.
Yeah, I think the worst thing is when super focused. Is never a good thing for whoever's on the other end. So, I'm super focused at the moment, and just it's going to be fun. Obviously, at this stage, and I'm enjoying every game I play. But there's a purpose, like a definite purpose, and a passion and a drive. And I'm really, really looking forward to getting onto the field. no,
that's good. Good. So when is the next round of fixtures? Is it next week? Is it next week or the week after?
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah. So the first round starts today, which is Wednesday, and then I think it's 3 rounds before the first break. So every Wednesday is another game.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And will they sort of release a squad then for the next round, like relatively soon, or how will they sort of sit tight with that?
I have no idea. I'm just going to do my part. I'm going to be there sort of over the weekend. So obviously give myself, I guess, as best chance as possible to sort of acclimatize, obviously switching time zones as well.
Yeah.
To give myself a few days and hitting some balls in those conditions, etc. I guess the team will be announced sort of Sunday, Monday, which would be the end of this first game that's coming up. and then move into second fixture.
No, I know. Obviously, with the championship due to start, who do you see as looking as quite favourites in the competition? Who do you see sort of making a stake for a claim? Taking a claim.
Generally, it's the same teams that sort of compete mostly. You sort of know who's gonna. So obviously, I think the Leewards have been good across formats for quite some time without being able to get over the line. Last year was a terrible year for us as a team in terms of 4-day cricket, and that's why we sort of had just that determination in the Super 50. Obviously, we weren't able to get over the line in the championship, but I think that we'll have a good 4-day team again this season. The likes of Barbados generally compete year in, year out. They're thereabouts. They don't necessarily seem to have, I guess, the strongest team on paper that from what I've seen this season. So, but no, Guyana again, defending champions. They know how to win. They've been winning a lot and for a long time. So that's a team that you can never take your eyes off. But I think there's lots of new players coming into various franchises around the region this season. So I think it's a great opportunity for, I guess you look at more experienced teams, sort of like the Leewards and Trinidad and Tobago, to sort of try and, I guess, outplay or out experience these younger teams and try and capture a title.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing it unfold. And when the full squads were released, I had a quick, a good look and stuff. And I think with obviously some of the players featuring in the white ball stuff in Australia, it gives off a nice opportunity for some of the younger lads to come in and stake a claim. So I'm looking forward to watching that sort of unfold. On your situation, I kind of wanted to touch back on it a little bit. And, when it comes to this communication aspect to it, and I think speaking to you now, there's no doubt it puts in your focus, and you seem so switched on in terms of like wanting to get back in there and prove it wrong. Do you think what people don't realise when it comes to this communication aspect is actually the negative impact it could have on someone like yourself, where you could just turn up and go, you know what, it's quite clear, what's gone has gone. It's not for me this anymore. Rather than, you've turned it into a positive and you're now focused on doing what you're going to do. But the impact it could have on other people who maybe weren't as mentally strong as someone like you, it could actually be incredibly detrimental to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to obviously experience as well, obviously being a more experienced person. I think what they would like, for certain people within the organization anyway, is for me to actually say that, screw this, I'm not going to play. I don't need this anymore. But unfortunately for them, I'm not playing for any individual or anything like that. I sort of determine when and where my career finishes. Fortunately enough, I've put in performances over the years that
to warrant it.
I mean, nobody's game is guaranteed, but if I think I would say that I have at least some credit in the bank, to sort of allow me at least an opportunity to at least, get a fair chance in terms of representing myself and going and putting in more performances. And you look at, I guess, the stats over the past 2 years, I'm the leading run scorer in the entire region over the past 2 years. And over the past 3 years, I think it's only Jermaine Blackwood that scored more runs than me over the past 3 seasons. So, I mean, this was obviously an unexpected, unforeseen situation. But everything in life happens for a reason. So initially I was very upset, very angry, because it's not a situation that I've been in before. It's not something that I'm used to. So it was quite something that I was taken aback by. But no, it's just a motivational factor. I mean, any little additional motivation goes a long way, because I like to, I guess, prove a point or be driven. And so I'm really planning on having a very big season, very focused, very ready mentally for it. And I think that's the part that people don't pay attention to, the mental aspect of it, where my mind is really attuned to what and how I want to go about things. So it's just a matter of us getting there and getting myself ready. And once the opportunity comes, then, doing what I have to do.
No. And obviously from my perspective, I just wish you all the best when you get going and stuff. And I can't wait to see you. As they say in boxing, a dangerous fighter is a happy fighter. And in your situation, I think a dangerous cricketer is going to be someone who's focused and driven like yourself. So I think that I can't wait to see you do your thing, to be honest with you, mate.
Perfect. Thanks, John. I appreciate that.
No. Well, thank you very much for today, as always, Kai. And it's good to get your insights and stuff. And I look forward to catching up with you, next week. And hopefully it could be in the middle of just due to start or potentially after the next round of games. So thanks very much, mate.
No, Jordan. Cheers. And